Hi guys, Onyx the Synth here. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. Today I wanted to talk about Motorfest 1 year later, how it's kept up, how much it's changed, and what are my thoughts on it. Real quick, before we get into all of that, I have a Discord server you guys can join if you guys want to suggest video ideas or if you guys want to chat with me. I will leave a link in the description below. Anyway, let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about are the playlists. As many of you may already know, we got a few playlists that were added throughout the year. By far, my favorite was the Hoonigan one. Just doing all the Gymkhana stuff was really fun. Going around and even driving the Hoonicorn at the end, I really think that was a nice touch. Um, the Off-Road Volume 2 was also very good. It really introduced a few routes that were really fun. The races felt great too, just driving around in the rally cars. It was really something. The Hollywood playlist was also good, and I really liked that one too. Um, I think the least effective one, in my opinion, though, has to be the Drift Volume 2. It really just felt like a rerun of the first playlist, just with different cars. Like, it didn't really draw my attention. It was fine, like, it actually served me good, but it didn't really feel like something to really highlight. So I think that's kind of where that one falls into not being the best one. Overall, the playlists were pretty good, although I think there are a few things that they can improve on, such as adding more events, making the events somewhat more intriguing. I think in a few events, there was moments where I didn't really feel as intrigued, but that's something that they could really fix, and I think it's something that could really be done good if they execute it correctly. Because, like I mentioned before, there's some playlists that didn't feel like they executed to the best of their ability, where I really think they could have. So that's my opinion on the playlist. Pretty good overall, but there are a few things that they can improve on. Now let's move on to the most important part of the game, the cars. There was a bunch of cars that were added to the game. My personal favorite out of all of those is the Ferrari SF90 Stradale, aka the Strudel. And that's where the term Strudel came from for reference. Haha. There were also some cars that were from the Crew 2 that came to Motorfest, and I'm glad they came. My favorite was probably the XJ. I really like that car in general. It's just so cool. And then we got the T50s, which are also very good. The T50S being a monster like it was in the Crew 2, being at the top tier, such a good car for what it is. Overall, there were a good chunk of cars that were added. A lot of very good picks from Ivory Tower. There were a few bad picks here and there, but overall, very good. I think it's mainly due to the fact that some of the cars didn't exactly handle well, but overall, I feel very, very happy about most of these cars coming to the game. They really felt good to drive, and you could have a good time with them. And when I mean some of these cars were really, really good, I mean they were really, really good. There were just cars that made it seem so easy, so quick, that a bunch of the other cars didn't really stand a chance. And that's something I kind of disliked, is that they made these cars so overpowered that you couldn't really pick another car without losing positions. It didn't seem fair, like you couldn't really experiment if you wanted to win. If you wanted to win, you could pick the top tier car or pick a car you liked and lose positions. Mainly, that's the problem I have. I just want it to be more balanced. I want these cars to feel more suitable for the PvP and make it more fun for the players to go around and drive these cars that they've never driven before and experiment with what they like to drive. I think it will really add more to the game if they allow more cars to be competitive in some way. Speaking of cars, there was also a few Summit cars that were really good, such as the Black Panther R34 and the Shmi Zembo. I thought those were pretty good. They felt good to drive, they guttered very well, and the top speed on them were pretty good. I feel like cars like that need to be added so that way they're more competitive while still having a few cars here and there, maybe not the best, but have one way of holding their ground so that way the cars can be used more and feel like they have good viability in the PvP area. And that leads me next to one of the big changes PvP got was the steering settings. I really thought the steering settings was a nice touch. We got steering sensitivity and dynamic max lock, along with direct mode, which made your inputs like wheel inputs. What the steering sensitivity sliders did for those who didn't use direct mode was sensitivity, it made your car more sensitive while you turned, and dynamic max lock made it so that your car was less restrictive the more you turned, and etc. But with direct mode, your inputs are more responsive and more twitchy, meaning it would feel like you're using a wheel on a controller, which is something I thought was cool. At first, I didn't really use it because I was like, oh, I don't really like this and all that. But here I am now using direct mode all the time, and I kind of like it. I will say that direct mode doesn't really gain you an advantage when it comes to PvP. That's just my experience because I have noticed even with direct mode, I'm not winning every race guaranteed. It's more of a thing if you want more of a challenge. It does spice up the experience in some way, and I do like the fact that it's here. The PvP overall, I would say needs some more. The grand races are fine. Demolition is just dead. I hate to admit that. As much as I like it, nobody really plays it. So I really think more PvP modes would be a nice touch, such as PvP from the other crew games like the Crew 2, using the playlist events for races against other players would be nice. And not only that, it would be kind of a good practice towards summits because a majority of the events that were used in the Crew 2 in the multiplayer were used for summits as well. So I think it's something that they can also encrypt, along with the demolition having events from playlist. If they ever do add a demo playlist, they should have a free-for-all demolition where you just take out players for the most amount of points. And I also think in general demo needs a bit more added to it, because right now it feels like it's lacking. One more thing I forgot to mention is private lobbies. This is something everybody's been requesting. Even I could say I want private lobbies because that's just how much people want it. It is something that we want badly because we don't want to deal with the case of rammers in a grand race, and we want to play demo with other players and fans, of course. It would just make it so much easier. It'd make videos a lot better. People could have much better live streams, so on and so forth. Overall, I think just having private lobbies would be a very nice touch, and it would make the game more enjoyable to play. I feel like a majority of the time I play demo, it kind of gets to the point where it starts to get a little bit boring. Like there's not much to go after because once you get power-ups, you're just on a scavenger hunt trying to find the other players, and it feels kind of empty. There isn't much to do once you've gotten the power-ups and you start to go find enemies. It just doesn't seem like it grabs your attention enough. All you're really doing is grabbing power-ups, killing others, and that's about it. The monster truck makes you faster, yes, but that's really it. I feel like a game mode, an extra game mode for demo, like Juggernaut, the way I'll describe it is that there's a person in a monster truck that has a ton of health, and it is the players who aren't a Juggernaut job to take them out and make sure he is eliminated. If the Juggernaut takes out everybody before he is eliminated, then the Juggernaut wins, so on and so forth. Something like that, or team battles where it's a 4 against 4 and or a 16 against 16 where you're a big team and you go against other players trying to destroy them. The power-ups only count for your squad you're with, but you fight to be the last team standing. Stuff like that. Stuff to make the game more interesting. Stuff that makes it a lot more enjoyable for the players who play the game mode. Overall, this game mode just needs more attention. There's so much that can be done with it that I really think makes it a fun game mode to play. Overall, I think it's just a matter of adding more stuff to the game than what we already have. Like, don't get me wrong, I like grand races, I like demo. It's just, there's just more that they can add. I really feel like that if they add more to the game, it would be much funner. But we don't know when they're gonna add this stuff, if it even is possible that they can add it. It just leads to speculation if Ivory Tower is willing to do all this, because I do like playing this game. I like it. It's very fun. But there's just some areas I think that they can improve on, especially going into the second year. The second year, there's more expectation than there was before because of how much stuff that they are trying to add. And the stuff they've already added was good, but there were a few areas that I think they can work on that could be a lot better. I think Ivory Tower has done a good job over the last year. They have made some good changes to what the fans want. They still didn't fulfill everything, but for the most part, they did a pretty good job this year. I felt like the updates weren't terrible here and there. There was maybe one update that was bad, but everything else wasn't too bad either. Grand races are still the same, nothing less. I still play them. Still like them, although we run into those rammers here and there, so that happens, and we just gotta kind of take that in. But I'm hoping in the future, Ivory Tower makes some sort of change to the PvP, because this is something people wanted for a long time. And I would say the PvP now is definitely better than it was a year ago. Everything's better than it was a year ago. I just think it could have been somewhat better, and it could have lived up to a much better name than what it is right now. Those are my opinions on the Crew Motorfest 1 year later. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If there's anything I missed that you guys want me to know about, leave a comment, and I will see you guys next time.